Welcome everybody to today's webinar, which is called Innovative Payment Strategies for Optimized Collection. And this is presented in partnership with PayNearMe. We also have with us today, and we're joined by PayNearMe's toll industry clients and partners, some of the tolling industry clients and partners. We scheduled this event ahead of IBTTA annual meeting, which is happening next week, and we're all looking forward to connecting with many of you there on site. My name is Lev Pinellas. I'm principal and founder of Toll Insight, and we're excited to host this new format type of event. And we're also very happy with the interest in this event. As of about an hour ago, we had 120 registrants, and we're excited to have this discussion over the next 60 minutes. The focus again is going to be about strategies for toll payment collection. In particular, we want to focus on three things: customer experience, as well as on the toll operator side, the revenue associated with collecting payments, and then the cost to basically enable these functions. As we like to do at these events, we want to engage you right away as the audience, and we want to ask you at a high level to weigh in based on a few poll questions that we've prepared. All right, I think we have most of the results in now. So I think there's a way to share the results with the audience. Okay, so just to briefly review, and hopefully you can see this in front of your screen as well. On the cost side for payment processing, most of the audience said that it's a top 3 operational expense cost, which is kind of what we expected. From a customer perspective, in terms of the types of payment types that are most lacking, payment apps and mobile wallets were at the top here, which is good. We're going to be talking about that. And then in terms of optimizing revenue, if there were more payment types, how much more toll revenue might we expect? So we're kind of between, from an audience perspective, between a little more to moderately more, which also I think makes a lot of sense. So thank you for participating in that. I think we can stop sharing now. Thank you. And with that opening, now we're going to move into the core portion of the webinar, where we're going to hear from Tyler at PayNearMe. And Tyler, as I'm teeing this up, maybe you can start sharing your slides. As a heads up to the audience, this presentation is the core part of the webinar. It'll take about 20 minutes to get through, and we're very excited at the end of that to also have a Q&A portion, and we will be welcoming questions from the audience at that time. So look forward to you listening to this, and then after that, having a good portion of time for Q&A. And Tyler, before you get going, just I wanted to briefly introduce you. So as a business development executive at PayNearMe, Tyler Williams leads strategic initiatives and partnerships to expand the company's impact in the tolling industry. With a degree in physics from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, Tyler blends scientific rigor with business acumen and leverages his passion for technology and problem solving to drive innovation, improve customer satisfaction, and fuel company growth, all while focusing on delivering flexible, reliable payment solutions for toll authorities and their drivers. And Tyler has been with PayNearMe since 2021 and working in tolling since July of 2023. With that, Tyler, over to you for the presentation. Thank you.
So thanks, Lev, and hi, everybody. It's great to be here and really looking forward to our time together. And kind of want to kick it off. And as an industry, as we move further into electronic tolling, into the electronic tolling world, really optimizing collections has become a critical challenge, as there are multiple groups and committees together to try to solve this problem. So I'm excited to be here today to really talk about how we can innovate our approach to payment collection in the industry. Kind of a little highlight of what we're going to cover today. As Lev said, my name's Tyler Williams. I've been in the tolling industry for the past year and a half, really heading up our PayNearMe initiatives here. And it's an honor to share some of this time with our clients, some of the people that are using our solution in the field, so that you can actually ask those questions of, well, great, Tyler, all the stuff that you're proposing sounds great, but does it actually work? We wanted to set up a time for you to actually hear that. So before we get there, my portion of the presentation, we're going to dive into so what is the actual cost of invoicing tolls, really look at a new way to view collections, and then some of the practical strategies to help improve those collections before jumping into our Q&A with the panelists. Before we get there, you might be asking, well, that's great. Who is PayNearMe? I haven't heard of them before. Well, PayNearMe is a Silicon Valley fintech that focuses on solving our clients' biggest payment challenges in order to lower the total cost of accepting payments. When we do this by helping increase acceptance rates, driving self-service, and really simplifying how you deal with the exceptions. How do you deal with fraudulent payments? How do you deal with chargebacks and returns? So with PayNearMe, toll payments become seamless for all, drivers included, as well as agencies, and we can handle the entire payment experience for you, really enabling you to accept all major payment types, whether it's digital, mobile, or cash, through easy to use channels, all with one simple integration. Diving in, let's talk about it. How big is the problem when it comes to collecting toll revenue? In the study done by Deloitte in 2022, they found that nearly 40% of the revenue that passes through a toll by plate process remains uncollected by toll authorities. To put that into numbers, that was roughly $2.2 billion in revenue that went uncollected across the top 40 toll authorities in the industry. So this is a big deal. How are we dealing with that? Hopefully we've gotten better since there's been 2 years since we did that, but tolling as an industry does a good job at looking into how do we approach these problems. And looking at this image, it should look familiar. It's the Toll Revenue Assurance Committee uses it to kind of look at what is the breakdown of payments by type. And we know that along with all the benefits of AET, there is new risk of revenue leakage that comes into play. Spoke earlier this year at Lev's video tolling conference, and we talked about, hey, this is where detection technology such as video tolling or AI-driven image review comes in to help mitigate that risk. However, as advanced as our detection technology has become, all the work to find out who is driving can go for naught if that payment isn't ultimately collected. So we're looking at the industry as a whole, typically 75 to 80% of drivers will go through the transponders, where 5 to 12% will go through the pay-by-plate programs, leaving us with nearly 10% of tolls that still need to be collected through other means that are more expensive and still won't guarantee that payment. And looking at the breakdown of this group of people, the payers, is really, these are your in-state drivers that for one reason or another have not chosen to get that transponder or sign up for a pay-by-plate account. They're the visitors to your cities that are coming in. They don't need to have that. So how are you reaching them? And then finally, the unbanked and underbanked customer. And as you can see from the stat, it's kind of amazing that there's still 4.5% of households that are considered unbanked. And how are we reaching them? From a study done in Central Florida Expressway, they found that higher processing costs lead to leakage and lower collectability rates associated with these pay-by-plate accounts transactions, which result in nearly double the rates of the Easy Pass to cover the additional costs associated with this channel. So this is not just affecting the industries, it's affecting all of your drivers. If it's more expensive to collect from this 10%, it's going to drive up the cost for everyone. So we need to start thinking about it in a different way. As we've seen, the traditional approach to collections is simply, you got to chase the payment, get the payment anyway, anytime, but it's not always effective. To really improve collection rates, we need to shift our focus from just trying to collect the payment at any cost to influencing and changing the driver's behavior. By making payments more accessible and frictionless, we can optimize our efforts rather than relying on costly last-minute interventions. In the perfect world, we know that this change in behavior would look like everyone adopting transponders or setting up a pay-by-plate account with auto replenish enabled so that collecting the payment for tolls can be as free flowing as the perfect open road tolling system. However, we know that this perfect world doesn't exist yet. And so there has to be a better way to move that needle, which is where payment strategies can come into play. Might be asking yourself, well, why don't these invoice drivers pay? And it really comes down to either their willingness to pay or their ability to pay. We know that there's the drivers that are just not likely going to pay. These are your toll evaders, the ones that are doing everything possible to not have to pay that. So what are we doing with the ones that have the ability to pay, but maybe they're not motivated, and or the ones that would pay if they could pay? We need to focus on them to ensure that we're maximizing our revenue. First off, we're going to start with everyone's least favorite driver. They're the ones that are not likely going to pay. So what do? First, you have to identify them as quickly as possible. And second, you have to keep people from slipping here. Less amount of time and resources spent here, the more time and resources you will have to focus on those that can pay. So clear communication, automation, these are the things that have to go into ensuring that, okay, I know who they are. And enabling your agents to focus on the collectible accounts will minimize the accounts that end up here in the first place. Shifting focus, let's look at the ones that might be willing to pay, but they are not able to pay. Do your customer service representatives ever hear these types of questions? I don't have funds in my bank account, or I'm working all day and I can't get there in business hours. Those are good indicators that they want to pay and there's just an inability to do so. As you know, once you identify those customers, we want to remedy that as quickly as possible. Someone tries to make a payment, it declines, then declines again. We know they're willing to pay, but unable. We need to be able to provide the messaging, error messaging of why the decline is occurring, or we need to be able to proactively reach out to them when that decline occurs, because they might forgive you once or twice, but if it keeps happening and they're trying to pay you, if it happens, they're more likely going to slip into that, well, I can't pay, so I'm just not going to pay bucket. To help with this, we have to ensure that we have all equitable payment options available. So this is where your unbanked customer typically will sit. They want to pay with cash, they have cash in hand, but you took away my toll booth that I'm used to paying at, and everything's electronic. I don't have a regular bank account. So providing them with a cash at retail solution gives them the ability to pay at stores such as 7-Eleven, Walmart, Walgreens, while they're getting their groceries at Kroger's, and ensuring that they can pay no matter where they live. I love to tell the story of one of our clients had a customer that would drive once a month to make their car payment, and he had to drive an hour or two to make his car payment in cash every month. And as soon as our solution was implemented, he called just to say thank you because it saved him so much time just having to drive in. So I know in the tolling industry, it's great that we have walk-in centers where people can go in and they can make cash payment, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's convenient for them. Or if you have an out-of-state driver that was visiting and needs to pay in cash, they still need to be able to have that. The other thing that we're finding is that the growing number of unbanked individuals or gig workers that are using the digital wallets or digital payment apps such as Cash App, PayPal, or Venmo, they use them as their bank account. So enabling them to pay with these methods, the stored value on them, or even if it's just a security, people are used to paying in PayPal. It's been so long. I don't want to have to give you my card directly. I'd rather go through PayPal. It's a security thing. So offering those to those customers is going to be key to ensuring that you get that payment and making it easy. Looking at the cash solution, there are lots of cash solutions out there, but again, you have to take out the friction. You have to make it easy for the customer. So no need to fill out paperwork every time I need to make a cash payment. Send them a customized barcode where they can walk into the store. CSR knows how to scan that barcode, take the cash, give them a physical receipt, Now you're pinged on the back end that says, hey, that payment was done, it's complete, and really simplifying that process. And then looking at the electronic section, if you don't have digital wallets enabled, let's take these two scenarios. You reach out to your customer, they say, hey, I've got the money, it's in my PayPal account or it's in my Venmo account, so I'll pay it, but I have to transfer it over to my bank account. Now, if they don't want to pay for the instant transfer, they have to wait 2 to 3 days to get that payment, that money into their account. Then they have to go back to your website, make the payment, and you finally get paid. So how many days actually goes by before you collect that payment? Where, on the flip side, you call the customer. Now you have the option to send them a real text with a direct link to that Venmo Venmo account. They pay from their stored value. While the collector is on the phone, you both get instant confirmation that that payment's been made. If you had to choose between 1 and 2, since I can't see a show of hands, I would assume that most of us would choose option 2, because now I know that that payment's been made. So let's switch again to the upper left-hand quadrant. This is the customer that has the ability to pay, but maybe they lack the motivation or they're distracted. So a good indicator that you're dealing with this type of driver or type of customer would be you're getting questions like, oh, I just forgot to pay. I got the first notice and I set it down and just didn't pay it. I'll do it when I get off the phone. I'm having trouble logging in. Where is that invoice number that I'm supposed to type in? You get the point. The key with these customers is that you have to remove the friction. If you haven't already, I'm going to ask you to take your phones out and scan that QR code for me. This is going to drop you right into the PayNearMe payment experience. Give you a little bit of time to do so. So, what did you notice about the experience? The first thing you should have noticed was that there was no registration or login. If you want to change somebody's behavior, behavior science tells us that you have to make the desired outcome easy. If anybody has read Atomic Habits and wants to try to change a habit that they either want or don't want, you have to make the desired outcome easy in order for us to actually choose it. So in this case, we have to remove the friction of data entry and registration. No more having to type in a license plate number along with an invoice or violation number, which can lead to input errors, which leads to more frustration, and your motivation to make that payment continues to degrade. And so taking that friction out is pivotal. As a colleague of mine likes to say, you've done the hard part of figuring out who they are and sending them the invoice. So why are you asking them who they are before allowing them to pay? The second thing you have to do is remove the obstacle of not having a payment options that they want. So allowing them to pay any way that they want. And we do this through our SmartLink technology. So when you scan that QR code, you are using a dynamically generated URL that is generated for every one of your drivers. That code is unique to them. That's going to have the information that is printed on that invoice so that nobody else is going to have it except for them. And the benefit is that you're going to get real-time posting and receipts in the back end to alleviate the calls, such as for simple questions such as, has my payment gone through, or how much do I owe you? And finally, let's look at the happy path. You know that these are the payments that you're already getting today from your invoice customer. So how do we actually drive down the cost of these payments? This is when it comes down to automation and being able to get rid of bad experiences. So if you're getting calls into your call center that are around did my payment go through? Where do I find my invoice number? I want to make a payment. These are the customers that they want to give you that. But do they need to be calling into your call center and taking up your representative's time? The answer I would say would be no. We need to get them out of the call center and get them self-serving. So we need to drive up that self-service. And doing that through the use of frictionless payment links. And another way to really offset the expense of payments, I know in the poll that was put up by Lev, it's top 3 seem to be where the processing costs go, but you can offset that by using convenience fees. And we can look at that with our panelists of what their reactions have been when they've used convenience fees. I know we're running a little bit lower on time. I'll keep going here. And so then the final piece is, as I mentioned earlier, we don't live in the perfect world where everyone has a transponder or a registered account, but what if your payments partner could help with this too? Again, friction tends to be a huge factor in driving behavior. So if you can remove that friction when it comes to registering for an account or a transponder, the likelihood of someone signing up will increase. And so this looks like someone receives their invoice in the mail, scan the QR code, complete their frictionless payment, and immediately receive the prompt to sign up for a transponder. And then we can pre-fill all of those areas where that they've already filled out to make that payment, really making it an easy and seamless process. And so how do we get there? Really, as you look at it, there are three paths that you could choose. You could build everything yourself, which would require multiple payment gateways, a team dedicated to keeping up with the latest payment trends and types, and a team of developers to build out all the necessary customer UI UX. So you would have control of your own destiny, but it would also be one more thing for you to manage on top of managing the roads that you manage. Second option would be rely on your back office provider to take on the payments piece as well. Again, they would have control of the payments, but that's another thing for them to manage on top of everything else they do for you. The third option is the one that I like, which would be partner with a comprehensive payment provider such as PayNearMe. And we could work with either the agency directly or with your back office provider to bring all these tools to you. And the beauty of it would be it's quick and easy. So we scale with you. PayNearMe offers a fully hosted platform that can be set up quickly and easily. And the setup process is flexible, allowing you to phase it if needed. I know that will come up with Silva from RCTC. We'll get it right, the acronyms. Or we can integrate directly with your back office provider if that's the route that you would want to take. What this gets you is it essentially future proofs your payments. So you don't have to keep up with the latest payment trends. That's our job. PayNearMe thinks of nothing but payments all day, every day. What's the latest trend? When is crypto going to become the norm? You don't have to worry about that. It will just be turned on to your system. And this allows you to outsource the management of your payments so you can add new functionality and payment types without heavy lifting. And you benefit from the speed and agility of a fintech partner to ensure that your payment systems continue to evolve with the emerging trends. So we would be able to help you streamline things like reporting, reconciliation, compliance, integration, and security. And all of this would be possible with one integration, one partner, one contract. So with that, we will be at IBTTA this coming week. And PayPal is actually going to be with us on Monday and Tuesday. So we'd love to have you stop by the booth. We'll be at booth 708. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lev so we can hear how it really works in the real world.
All right, great. Great introduction, Tyler. That was very good to tee it off. Yeah, so at this point, first of all, I want to say thank you very much for the questions that are coming in. We're certainly going to get to those. But at this point, as you hopefully kind of see, we have our panelists coming on here, and hopefully you can see them here in gallery view. And to very briefly introduce them, we have Vinny Valdez from TCA, and he's the Chief Tolling Operations Officer based in Irvine, California, with TCA being a tolling agency client of PayNearMe since 2018. So I think they were one of the originals. We also have Silva Mardrussian. Am I saying that right, Silva? We should have practiced that. And she is from Riverside County Transportation Commission, I guess about an hour away from Vinny, also in Southern California. And she's the tolling customer service manager. They're a newer client from PayNearMe, having, I think, gone live just over the summer, I believe in July. And then we have Gordon Beck. He is the executive vice president and co-founder of Valor, a third-party BPO headquartered in Dallas, Texas, that specializes in tolling and telecom collections. And Valor has been a toll operator partner of PayNearMe since September 2023, so a little bit over a year. So again, please keep the questions coming. We will definitely get to those, but just to kind of engage the panelists here, we kind of wanted to do a round robin and get some one of the core questions is what were the payment challenges that brought you to partner with PayNearMe, and kind of how is PayNearMe at a high level helping you solve those challenges? So maybe we'll go to Vinny first, if that's okay. And kind of Vinny, what's your kind of high level background story on how you began to partner with PayNearMe?
Sure thing, Lev. Um, for TCA, it wasn't really as much of a payment challenge as it was a potential opportunity to provide TCA customers increased convenience in the form of additional payment options. Like Tyler was mentioning, our experience is that the easier a tolling agency makes it for customers to pay their tolls and violations, the more likely they are to pay, right? And more quickly, as the friction associated with making a payment is greatly reduced.
All right, great. And then maybe Silva next.
Yeah, for us, we basically reached out to PayNearMe because of the AB 2594 requirement, where we needed to have one retail outlet in a jurisdiction. So we thought rather than opening walk-in centers that, doesn't have a lot of traffic, we wanted to look at other payment options. So that's why PayNearMe was a good option for us.
Great. And Gordon?
As we become more of a digital world, it's important to have not only digital communications, but also the digital payment options that come with it. In addition to that, we're heavily under scrutiny of the PCI compliance with credit card data and working with agents all day, every day, taking payments from customers. Customers over time have become more and more wary about giving payments over the phone, giving out their credit card information over the phone. This platform allows the customer to not only choose in the manner in which they pay, but to do it safely and securely and without the worry that they're giving their credit card information over open ends of channels of communication, et cetera. So not only does it remove PCI from scope, but it also is a great convenience to the customer and an option. And they have options now that they fully trust, don't even blink an eye at.
Perfect. All right. Thank you for those initial answers. I think at this point, I think there's a lot we could discuss, but I'd like to go to some of the audience questions. So we had a question from Robert Joseph about I think it's the convenience fees. He's referencing the ones associated to cash, but I know some of you are also deploying convenience fees that customers pay for non-cash options as well. Maybe kind of another round robin on that. Maybe first to Vinny, what convenience fees are your customers paying, both, I guess, digital payments as well as cash payments? How are they received? And I think what Robert is looking for is, kind of any advice to about kind of how to manage the equity component around those fees as well.
Sure, sure. Love to take that question. Yeah, so what we see here at TCA, well, the way we have it implemented is that, Payoneer folks customers who avail themselves of PayNearMe, whether it's a cash payment or that electronic payment, are charged the convenience fee. Um, as a matter of equity, we while offering Pay Near Me as an option to pay TCA tolls and violations, a customer also has the option to pay TCA directly, right? They can come into a walk-in center and pay cash, right? And there's no fee, right? Or they can write us a check, again, no fee, or they can, come in and or give us their credit card, and we'll process a credit card transaction again with no convenience fee. So what we find, right, because those options exist, right, is that our customer base anyway, right, is generally okay with the concept of the convenience fee, right? They get, a lot of them get that they can, make that there's a convenience associated with scanning that QR code or walking into a CVS and paying a toll there. And and because we think that option exists to pay us directly if that convenience fee is really that much of an issue for a person. We just have not heard any complaints. We have not heard any complaints. Zero to this point.
Perfect. And we'll keep going in the same pattern. Maybe Silva, do you have a view on this?
To piggyback on that, I mean, we charge our customers the $1.99, and we've phrased it as it's a pay near me service fee. And so we've seen customers, opt in to, let's say, scan the QR code, pay with a credit card as opposed to going to our website, or even the cash where they'll walk into 7-Eleven and pay cash. We've seen no complaints, and I mean, we've seen an increase. As I've said to you guys internally, that we've seen an increase where it's taking away from our CSRs and our website, where customers are willing to pay the $1.99 for the convenience.
And Gordon?
Yeah, so this is kind of a two-part answer. We had a 200,000 customer test pilot. And with this pilot, we offered the customers a fee-free option to pay their account another way. Over almost 17,000 customers elected to pay the fee just to be able to use the options that PayNearMe, we're affording them to use. And so that was proof in the pudding that the fee did not matter. And on top of that, through our quality control processes, call monitoring, our complaint and escalation desk, we have not heard a single complaint or gripe about the fee. It's not a large fee, and it really is normal for the convenience to be able to use these platforms and make like your mortgage payment, et cetera. So this is nothing new for many of the customers, and it's been no problem whatsoever.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll just keep moving through the audience questions and probably prioritize those as much as we can. So there's a question from Zach Todd from MDTA. What about Afterpay and Klarna for those with larger balances that need a payment plan? Any considerations for those? Anybody want to take that?
Yeah, I can go ahead and take that one.
Yep.
Obviously, buy now, pay later is geared toward your e-commerce world. And so I know regulations, there are some regulatory things that are being dealt with can those be applied to a fine or a fee setup. That being said, when you have a payment platform such as a PayNearMe, we can do things like agent set up payment plans. If you have somebody that has a $500 bill, but they say, hey, I can only pay $125 a month. So now I'm going to give you every month, I'm going to send you, here's $125 is going to be taken from this card or this digital wallet, whatever your option is, so that you can actually set up those payment plans without having to use a Klarna or an Afterpay. Obviously, that is something that we can use in other industries, but I don't think it's quite there for the tolling industry yet.
Great. Tyler, by the way, I also forgot to have you weigh in on the previous question. Do you want to kind of quickly comment about the option the agency has to absorb the fee or pass it on to the customer? I'm sorry, I should have asked you.
Perfect. I mean, it comes down to, it's the convenience factor. If all I'm doing is offering cash, and cash is the only one that has a convenience fee attached to it, it's going to stand out as a sore thumb that, oh, that's the throwaway option to the customer that's cash only, and I have to have that option there. But when you're giving them all the other options, including the digital wallets, now it just becomes, hey, this is an additional benefit, easy, convenient. And so that's where, when we do the full implementation, we're not doing a cash only implementation. It's let's give them all the options up front to really make it as easy as possible on them. So,
okay, great. Thank you for that. I think I want to next move to, and I think it overlaps with one of the themes we wanted to talk about. There was a question from Wendy about kind of the types of payments that are the payment channels that are used. And Gordon, maybe to kind of flip the script a little bit, we're having you go first this time. I know we talked about kind of during our dry runs about the uptake of some of the new type of payment types like mobile wallets versus how customers were paying before. And I think what Wendy is also getting at, if my read is here correctly, really quick, we don't want to just convert to a new payment type. We also want the collection rates to go up, and we want more payments. So do you want to kind of holistically comment about all of that, Gordon?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question, in fact. And one of the most attractive things to me was that I looked back to when I joined this industry 27 years ago. And, we had to accept payments via Western Union, or we had to accept checks by phone, credit cards, MoneyGram. But outside of that, if you really think about it, the last 3 decades, we haven't had much other options to give the customers to make payments until now. So when we did offer this, we were not shocked by all of the options that they had. And just to answer that question, Cash App, PayPal, Apple Pay, Google Pay, Zelle, pretty much every digital payment option is available to the customer. Apple Pay was overwhelmingly the fan favorite, if you would. But now we are limitless in our ability to offer the customers a way to pay that they want to choose. There are no limitations, and you might find it different for your association, authority, agency, or wherever you may work and your customer base. But all options were utilized by the customers. Yes, Apple Pay was utilized the most, but every imaginable option that we had was used significantly by the customer base, which means that these are options that have been needed for a very long time. And I think we're all blessed in the industry to now have it available to our customers.
Great. And Silva, I was actually thinking maybe you can also weigh in, because I know one of the things we talked about was the other benefits for customers and for your operations as well of converting these payment types. Do you want to
So
talk
I
about
was
that, Silva?
Yeah, so I was gonna say RCTC manages 2 lanes, and one of our projects we implemented cash only, and phase 2 we plan on implementing the digital wallet, credit, and debit. And on our other project, we implemented all payment channels. And it's interesting to see that Venmo, credit, debit, even PayPal, those are one of the more popular payment channels as opposed to the cash. We're not seeing customers using cash as an option. So it's interesting to see that. So I would say we're definitely moving away from cash and more into the digital wallets and credit and debit.
And I think did you kind of feel, Silva, I believe, kind of a reduction in load on your IVR, on your web, on your call center? I think that's what you just were mentioning.
Yes, so we definitely saw a decrease. So rather than customers logging into our account or on our website, entering like their notice number, license plate, and making a credit or debit card payment, they're just scanning the QR code and right away making a payment, even though, we offer that payment channel. And again, we've seen it with the cash, rather than coming into our walk-in center, they're walking into a 7-Eleven, Walmart, or CVS to make the payment. So it's interesting to see their behavior.
Okay. And maybe Vinny, bringing you on in terms of the benefits of some of these new payment methods and channels. I believe one of the things you were mentioning is some benefits around customer paying earlier in the process. I mean, so maybe that has benefits for the customer as well as for the agency, if I'm recalling correctly. You're on mute, Vinny. Happens to
There
all
we
of
go.
us.
Okay. All right. So yeah, Lev, we do see payments coming in faster, right? And when you're talking about the millions and hundreds of millions of dollars that tolling agencies generate, that's significant interest flow, right? If you think about comparing somebody who pays the traditional way, right? They receive their invoice or their violation notice. Okay, now they're going to go and they're going to, sit down and write you a check, and they're going to drop it in the mail, right? And we know how long, it takes for traditional mail to travel these days, right? Then you're going to receive it. Then it's going to go through your payment processing process, right? You're going to have somebody opening up that envelope and keying the check, and then depositing the check to the bank, and then the funds clearing. Compare that to the convenience of somebody receiving that very same violation notice, and instead scanning a QR code and through using their smartphone, making the payment right then and there, right? We'll get the transaction come across the next day. So yeah, we see a substantial acceleration in payment processing as a result of leveraging this service.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, Vinny. I'm trying to weave in all of the questions and kind of based on what we wanted to also point out. So hopefully I'm getting to all of the audience questions here. I think maybe just to reiterate, Tyler, maybe this is back for you from RD Gupta around, I think this is about the convenience fee for PayNearMe platform above and beyond the agency platform for non-cash customers. So do you want to kind of just reiterate one more time how the convenience fee works for digital payments?
Yeah, I mean it's similar. It's the processing fee, it's the service fee that you would see on now you go out to a restaurant and they're adding their processing fee on top of it of your meal ticket. And so it's how am I offsetting that cost? Well, we know that processing cost is not the ultimate cost of accepting that payment. If they're calling into the call center, now you're paying for your agent that's on the phone. As Vinny said, if it was a check in the mail, somebody's got to open that check. There's extra costs that are on top of it, not just what's my credit card bill at the end of the month. And so really the benefit that PayNearMe brings is that we can simplify that. We can consolidate those and so that we're increasing the self-service level. So it's not, I don't have to call in and ask you a question. I can simply scan, make that payment and see that it was made and funded that account. And so then, yeah, taking that to, okay, I see.
Do you see the clarification? Thank you, Artie.
I did. Yeah. So why would a customer go there? It's convenient, especially when we're looking at these are customers that don't have a registered account and they're getting a notice in the mail. How many of us have gotten the bill in the mail and said, I'll get to that later, set it down on the side of our desk, it gets put another bill put over the top of it. So if there's not an easy way to make that payment right then, right there, when it's top of mind, I'm going to forget it. And then the agency is now burdened with having to send a second notice, having to send a third notice. Then it ends up with Gordon, and he doesn't mind that because he can get the payment because PayNearMe is there to make it easy for them to pay. So that's the benefit for the agency is that we're going to be able to collect that payment faster because, yeah, I receive it in the mail, scan a QR code. Oh, I can pay with Apple Pay. I pay with my face, 2 clicks, my payment's done.
There's additional payment methods as well that are available, right? I mean, I think that's kind of part of the convenience umbrella that you were talking about. So hopefully now
yes.
already we've answered it. Sorry, go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah. So not just the app, we'll get Apple Pay, Google Pay, and the digital wallets as well, the PayPal, Venmos, and Cash Apps. So you're really able to reach all customers because all of those are available.
There was a chat item, and I think I'm interpreting it correctly from Terry. I think maybe this is back to you, Tyler, just to confirm that your platform can support both CSR initiated and kind of customer initiated payment methods. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So the PayNearMe, we're a holistic payments platform. So you could plug us in any of the channels. The 2 channels that our RCTC and TCA have implemented today have been the QR codes on the invoice. But if we needed to get more into the back office solution, team at Valor, they have the ability to send our payment links on the fly to customer on the phone. So I get a hold of somebody that's late. They need to make that payment, but they say, hey, I want to pay. I've got cash in hand, but I'm nowhere. I'm in Nebraska and I was visiting Disneyland. And so I got to pay my TCA bill. So now I can send you a link that says, hey, you can pay at a retail location that's convenient for you, giving the tools there. And then, yeah, anything else that you want. You want to embed us on your website. You want to enable your transponder users to be able to auto replenish their accounts with a PayPal or a Venmo. You would be able to do that through our platform as well.
Okay, and I think Terry was just following up to clarify that she also was talking about replenishments, but I think you just mentioned that could also be supported. It's not just invoice payments or violation payments.
Yeah. So one of the things that makes PayNearMe unique is that we tokenize each payment method. So the benefit of not dealing with a gateway is that we're doing all the tokenization in the background so that that session we can then use for auto replenishment schedules. They set up a payment plan through the platform, auto pay schedules, that type of thing can all be done through us.
Perfect. I think we kind of touched on it. There was a question from Seth Sorensen. What percentage of payments are net new versus moving from another payment channel? I think we maybe touched a little bit about it, but any more detail, Gordon, Silva, Vinny, that you want to share about maybe hard figures?
Yeah, I'm
If
happy
you
to
have it,
share. Yep,
go
I'm
ahead.
happy to share. So we had 3,600 out of this nearly 17,000 that had made a payment previously in a different manner that then switched to PayNearMe. And then, of course, that left 13,000 out of the test subject group that adopted it brand new first time. So there's a bunch. I mean, in our case, it was over, I think 70% was net new. And that is a good question. We also like the fact that, it generated opportunity for people that were familiar with these payment channels. And I think that really, I think that was a differentiator in them driving to make the payment because it was so easy, right on their phone in our case. So great question. Yeah.
So, Silva, do you have anything you want to mention about that?
I mean, for us, because we're fairly new, we haven't really seen, I mean, the numbers are there where we're taking it from the CSR, we're taking it from the website, even our automated IVR rather than customers calling, but I don't have those actual numbers. But I
Fair enough.
can share it with you as we grow, Lev. I can share those numbers with you, and we can show the group the success that we've had with PayNearMe.
This is live and unfiltered, so we're putting you on the spot, and you're only 3 months in, so
Yes.
fair enough. Vinny, are you kind of in the same boat, or are there any kind of hard figures you can
Yeah,
share?
it's we're a mature program, and we're the opposite. We're a mature program here, and we don't see as big a lift in our payment rates to make it pronounced, right? So that we could say, oh, that is, these extra payments are purely the result of having or the increase is purely the result of having PayNearMe. But for our purposes, right? Anecdotally, when I see customers making cash payments in other states, right, after using our toll road, we've had 5 walk into a retail location and make payments in Hawaii, right? Arguably, those are payments you might not get if not for that, not for that convenience. But for the sake of discussion, right? Let's say that the increase is 0, right? That that going with PayNearMe resulted in 0 additional payments that we wouldn't otherwise get. We still see a benefit from the perspective of our customers are making their payment using their preferred method of payment, right? So that translates to, in some cases, getting that payment faster, right? And again, anecdotally, some number of those cash payments in remote, relatively remote locations, we think represent a minor lift. But again, even if it's 0, we still see a benefit, as does our customers.
Perfect. So we're down to probably just several minutes left of the webinar. Really appreciate everybody holding their attention here. I think kind of looking towards the future, and maybe Tyler, I'll get you to weigh in on this first. From what I understand, one of the benefits of partnering with PayNearMe is that you are kind of on that bleeding edge of when that next payment method comes up. We talked about, I think, during the dry run, even about crypto. When whatever that next real payment method that comes up, the customers want to choose to pay. You're kind of specializing to make sure you're onboarding that kind of method. So can you kind of talk about that benefit of partnering with PayNearMe to make sure you're keeping up with the latest and greatest payment methods?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it comes down to the fact that we are one platform, that we've already done the integration work with all the payment types. So the benefit to the agency is I don't have to go out to Apple Pay and try to integrate just a one Apple Pay button that throws off all of my other processes. I can get all of that in one. And then when you're looking at the future, yeah, crypto came up. Everybody asked, so when are you going to add crypto to your platform so that you can say, hey, pay with crypto button? That the regulatory piece of that is a headache, and it's something that a toll agency doesn't need to think of. But someone like a PayNearMe, which is a payment processor, all we do is think of payments. What's next? What do we need to get on the roadmap now, and how can we get ahead of the regulatory requirements for that? Let's do that so that once we're done with the integration, we can come to Gordon or Silva and Vinny and say, hey, it's ready. Do you want us to turn it on? Flip of a switch. Now you've got a new payment type without having to do any integration work. So that's kind of the beauty of having a partner like us on your side, so that we're going to be doing the vetting and of all anything that is future. And I love the question about Klarna and Afterpay. That's something that is in the works. We're working with them to say, hey, what industries can we work with? What are the regulations and requirements around that payment type? Can we add that button? I know PayPal offers the pay in four, that we see that in all the e-commerce things that we get onto. Now, how does that move into the tolling world and the other industries that we work in?
Are there, this is a bit of a tangent, Tyler, but aren't there also for some of these apps, like I thought we talked about maybe Cash App before, where they kind of almost won't integrate with you unless you've got a certain minimum threshold or a minimum volume as well. So is there an element
Yeah.
of that where you guys can kind of you can provide options that maybe smaller amount of volume won't get you?
Yeah, that's a great point. So if you're a smaller agency that is looking to add these additional payment types, if you were to go to PayPal and say, hey, I want to integrate PayPal and Venmo since they own the same company, and I'm expecting a couple hundred payments a month to come through those channels, they're going to look at you and say, I'm sorry, I can't do that. So again, the benefit would be, I bring on PayNearMe, they're going to be able to onboard you and get you those alternative payment types.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. So we're down just to the last few minutes. Administratively, I know we had a question. Will this PowerPoint be available? So we are recording this webinar and the PowerPoint will be finalized. So we will certainly get you that information on how to access everything after the fact. So that's absolutely no problem. But with just a few minutes left, I just thought we'd do kind of like a final round robin for the panelists, kind of any other kind of wrap up or final points that maybe we missed. And maybe we'll start with Vinny again.
Just that, there's, from our perspective, our view, incredible value here, right? Where our customer base is such that, we're able to leverage the fact that customers are willing to pay a convenience fee for perceived convenience. And we're able to leverage that into being able, at no cost and relatively little effort on our part, leverage that and turn it into increased convenience for our customers, payment processing efficiencies in our back office, and on top of that, a reduction of our credit card merchant fees. So it's a win-win-win with very little to zero downside, from our point of view.
Okay, and Silva, any wrap up or final points?
Yeah, I mean, for RCTC, I was just going to say thank you, because on our end, partnering with, these digital wallets and having it integrate into our back office would have been so challenging. So Tyler, you made our life so simple, and, just the 3-month relationship that we've had, the implementation has been seamless. If we've had any issues, the communication has been wonderful. So, I mean, I just want to say thank you, because as we succeed, hopefully, PayNearMe will succeed and grow, and it'll help all the tolling agencies.
Thanks, Silva. And Gordon?
I think above all else, brand image and customer satisfaction are paramount, more important than it's ever been. Giving customers the option to pay in such an easy manner with the options to widespread that they can choose from is probably the number one reason that I think PayNearMe has been such a huge influence on our organization. As it was mentioned, of course, by Vinny, credit card merchant fees are exorbitant. We have massive amounts of letter bills. There's things that we're saving from an operation and gaining in increased recoveries that cannot be done by any other provider in this space. So overall, from just a compliance perspective and PCI perspective, not having to take credit cards over the phone anymore, the savings, and of course, like I said, the brand image and customer satisfaction, all three of those avenues have been huge using PayNearMe.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, so I think with that, we're down to the last couple of minutes. I want to say, before I hand it back to Tyler here, I want to say a big thank you to the panelists, to Silva, to Gordon, to Vinny, to preparing for this, and for your excellent comments and answering all of the questions on the hot seat here. So, Tyler, maybe back to you for any kind of final points and IBTTA prep, etc. So,
Yeah, looking forward to seeing those of you that will be in Cleveland. Like I mentioned, we're going to be there, booth 708, and we'd love to have you stop by. And again, if you have any more questions for PayPal, specifically stop by Monday or Tuesday, just to get those answered directly from them, so you don't have to take my word for it. But thank you all for the time, and really look forward to continuing the conversation with more of you in the future. So thanks, Lev.
yep. Thank you, Tyler, for that wrap up. Thank you again to the panelists, and thank you to the attendees for your attention for the last hour. Look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.